Really big news today. Redfin, one of the bigger websites and one of the more useful websites, has just said they're going to start publishing buyer agent commission information on their website, so buyers will know how much their agents are getting paid, and they're going to start shopping, in their words, shopping as seriously for their buyers agents the way they do with the listing agents. Now, this is really, really interesting, considering the last few days I've made videos about this, and I talked about how one of the ways I would consider selling my home is to either just not pay our buyer's agent commission, or a nominal amount, like $100 and $200 or $200 to get on the MLS, or pay the buyers the full commission or more. I don't see the point of not paying customary commission. And in fact, I think if you really want to use the MLS properly, you would, and get buyer's agents on your team, you'd overcompensate them and let them know in the caravan and let them know in other ways to contact them that, hey, if they sell your home, they're gonna get compensated. And then you explain why. You say, my home's beautiful, it's got great views, there's not great comps, but this house is really worth it. We think you and your buyer will understand it when they see it. Or something like that. Like, explain why. Maybe you need to sell fast. Whatever it is, explain why the compensation is there. The buyer's agents will be really happy. Now, and someone actually commented on my video about that a day or two ago and said, I would never want to work with a buyer's agent who's getting overcompensated, or some comment like that. And I said, well, that's why buyers should have a conversation with their agent about how much they're getting paid. This was all in the last 48 hours, but before today. And today, 4 hours ago, Redfin said they're going to disclose the information. Now, this is interesting because after some of my other videos, Zillow changed the way they were publishing the listing agent information on their websites, and in my mind, they made it less confusing about who the listing agent is and who the buyer's agents are. Certainly in the instances where I was looking at Zillow, and you could see that in the videos. So I think it's really interesting that we're anticipating trends, or people recognize, because I'm an attorney with experience who's also, been chosen by Card Time to teach realtors how to negotiate multiple offers. Maybe they're concerned that if one attorney says this, there's serious liability in the future. We also know that currently a bunch of plaintiffs' attorneys are suing some of the big brokerages over real estate commissions and those practices. And I think Redfin's decision would insulate large brokerages from those types of claims in the future if there are further claims. So now, what does this mean to the consumer? Well, if you're a buyer, this goes back to what I've been saying for a long time. You should, if those commissions are available, leverage them as a buyer, whether you go to the listing agent directly, which I recommend in many circumstances, because you have to ask these questions anyway. You have to ask questions, and we go more of this into the course. Right now it's free at winnerscheck.org. On the front page, you can click on it. You want to know if you're up against other competitors. You want to know if the listing agent's recommending other buyers. You want to know, they're not going to do this very often, but you say, hey, if I work with you directly, can I at least have 48 hours or 3 days to negotiate with buyer directly before you represent other buyers? Not always going to be the case, but maybe it'd work out. Now, if you're interested in getting 2 to 2.5 or 3%, which might be the customary buyer's commission, or at least sharing in it, we can refer you out to a buyer's agent, or we can refer you out to the listing agent and share that commission. So we're looking to make the entire real estate marketplace more efficient by sharing commissions. Redfin's just going to make it easier to determine whether you should work with the listing agent directly or work with a buyer's agent and share the commissions. So I didn't explain that perfectly, so let me just come back. In a typical real estate transaction, let's say it's 6% total commission to the listing agent, to the seller. The listing agent might take 3 and offer 3 on the MLS, although not always. So if you were to work with the listing agent directly and you say, hey, can I have the buyer agent commission? I work with you. I know I've tried this before as a realtor. The vast majority of listing agents are going to say no, especially if they're already procuring costs. If they've already shown you the house, you've probably given up your ability to leverage it. However, if you worked with us and say, I could say, I'm representing the buyers, but I'm willing, if you want to represent them, I'm willing to refer them to you, and we can share the referral fee. We may be able to capture somewhere between the entire commission, 50%, 75% of it, 50% of it, 30% of it. So that could be on $1 million home. If the referral fee is if the buyer's agent commission is $30,000, we would be able to share 30, 22, 25, any amount that we negotiate with the listing agent. Now, I know from experience, if the listing agent thinks they're going to just sell to some other buyer really easily, then really I've got to sell them on why it's good to have me in the transaction, helping them out, but how much work they're still going to do, and share an appropriate referral fee, and then share part of that with you. And I have minimums I'd like to make, and we discuss it, and then you decide whether you want to go to the listing agent directly on your own with my help to get the commission, or working with the buyer's agents. I explain all this more at winnerscheck.org. Just click on the button about the course. I'll have a video there for you to understand this in more detail. But anyway, go to winnerscheck.org. I think it's really interesting that Redfin's now, I'm all in favor of that. They're just making my job easier, and your job as a buyer easier. You will be able to determine when you should go to the listing agent directly, when there's reasons to go with the buyer's agents. Plus, I'll give more training on that over time. I've already done some videos on it too. All right, thanks. winnerscheck.org. John McConnell.